public comments on whatever the audience would like to talk about. Please state your name and address, limit yourself to 3 minutes, and direct your question to the board. One second, please. He left? He had a statement, didn't remember what it was? All right, I apologize for that.
Ward 111 Orchard Street, McDonald, PA. I'll start with the positive because I know you guys are going to get beat up here in a little bit. I think that I commend the board. I think the board's doing a good job at trying to address a lot of the township issues, so I commend the board for that. There was something that came up under new business tonight that I do take exception with, and actually I was personally offended by. It was a statement made in regard to the township manager applications that were received. It was stated that there were no other qualified applications received other than Ms. Sikalik. I believe that statement was untrue. I submitted an application as well. I didn't get an interview, and I understand that. So having said that, though, having been the previous township manager and zoning officer for Robinson Township, I would say that I believe there was an application other than Ms. Sikalik that was a qualified application. Again, having said that, I understand why I may not have received an interview. I have nothing personal, no issues with Ms. Sikalik. I don't know her, but as a taxpayer, I do have a concern about, and I started to mention this earlier, about paying a manager $50,000 a year with benefits when the job duties specifically require zoning officer experience in addition to township manager experience. I can tell you, having been the manager and zoning officer, that more than 50% of that job is as zoning officer. And while I have no problem with Chief Dorsey doing those duties, I think he does a fine job at it. I think paying somebody $50,000 to do half of a job that was advertised for both of those positions is ridiculous, to be honest with you. I think that either you should have gone back and looked for additional applicants, or that salary should have been adjusted accordingly. Because as a taxpayer, we're now paying 2 people to do what the township was supposed to be hiring 1 person to do. So that's, thank you.
Hi, I'm Veronica Coptis, a community organizer with the Center For Coalfield Justice. We're at 184 South Main Street, Washington, PA.
I didn't get any of that. I just got
Sorry.
You gotta slow down.
Veronica Coptis, COPTIS. I work at the Center For Coalfield Justice. Our address is 184 South Main Street, Washington, PA. I'm their community organizer. The Center For Coalfield Justice is an environmental advocacy organization that works with communities fighting for environmental justice in Washington and Greene counties. I'm here today on behalf of several of our members in Robinson Township who have brought to our attention plans for the current township supervisors to make a drilling permitted use in residential 1 in agricultural zoned areas, which is existing right now, special exception. Local elected officials have a responsibility to uphold and enforce the Environmental Rights Amendment, or Article 1, Section 27 of the Constitution. This is especially important here, I believe, because this is the township that fought for that right in Act 13 challenge that was upheld by the PA Supreme Court. Since the Supreme Court decision from the Act 13 case, where Robinson Township fought to protect their rights to keep drilling as whatever use they wanted to in whatever zone, it's very clear now that township officials not only have a responsibility, but they have a constitutional obligation to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the residents, and to also protect the character of each zone district. Shale gas drilling is industrial activity. I believe it should be permitted in some areas. I believe that there should be special conditions placed for certain zoned areas to protect the character. Under a permitted use scheme, you don't have the ability to put conditions that regulate things like light and noise that our state Department of Environmental Protection does not regulate. In that doing this will undoubtedly change the character of the the districts and potentially harm the health and welfare and safety of those living around it. I just wanted to state two direct things from the opinion of Act 13, and it states that the states as well as local governments are bound by the Article 1, Section 27 rights. In addition, these rights are equal in status and enforceability to any other rights included in the state and Constitution, and that includes our property rights and our right to free speech and many other constitutional rights. For zoning requirements, they must be directed toward the community as a whole, concerned with the public interest generally, and justified by balancing of community cost and benefits. If the township officials fail to uphold the Environmental Rights Amendment or protect the health, welfare, and safety of the township residents, they can be held liable for those decisions. Residents can sue the township the same way that industry can sue the township. And I do find it somewhat ironic that I'm standing here before the Robinson Township Board reminding them of the same fight the township did for these rights before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. It was upheld. The zoning ordinance is trying to change to look more like Act 13, which this township itself fought so hard to defend those rights. It's kind of clear to me that there's some outside influence in this local government that is pushing that agenda forward.
Thank you.
Question is, Jennifer Rose, 148 Robinson Highway. I just noticed under the possible township projects, it says street lights on Route 980. Would that be just traffic lights or just regular light?
Regular light.
And from all the way down from the intersection?
From the intersection here to, I believe it is Delaney's, to Baines.
Okay.
So that area there, we had a couple elderly ladies come in and ask, I said they would like to see street lights on that road. So I said we'll put it on the possible township projects. And hopefully soon we get to that. Any other comments? Mr. Campbell.
Yeah, John Campbell, 738 Campbell Road, Baltimore, Pennsylvania. Mr. Rose has pointed out there at the beginning of the meeting about the amount of money that's being paid to our new solicitors. I just wanted to point out they're doing an outstanding job helping our two new supervisors move on in the township and trying to fix the problems that were created by the previous board and the previous solicitor. So I want to thank you all for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here's reason.
I can't see you. Sorry. Yes, sir.
My name is John Savio. I own some property on Route 980, and the reason I bought it is that I went to Gannett Fleming Engineers on August in 2005, and they wrote me a letter that sewers were going to go through up Route 980 within 1 to 3 years. So I bought the property, no sewers yet. I'm just wondering if, for some reason, what is it, Act 265, the Clear Stream Act of Pennsylvania, that mandated that Robinson Township put sewers on Route 980, and here we are almost 10 years later, and nothing's happened, and there's so much property on 980 that could be sewered and get into real estate. We would blow up. There's land for sale. It's been cleared. No sewers, and they got the sewer system right at the bottom of the road. The septic system.
We're at on 980, sir.
Beg your pardon?
Where exactly at on 980?
Robinson Boulevard. 980. You go down here, make a left-hand turn.
But where at exactly?
It's near the Monsoor Trail Bridge, near Quicksilver Road.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
There's 73 properties that are sewered on that road. And there's some houses that used to be coal mining houses. They're abandoned.
They are abandoned, yes.
Yeah, so I'm right across the street from that. So the thing is, we're looking at property that's been abandoned And is there a fund to, you know, tear little eyesores down?
Mr. Kendall, you may have an answer on that.
There actually is, our previous manager had a process started to condemn some of those homes. Some of them had been sold, and
It's like in the 11,000 block.
Yeah, we do know, one house was originally owned by Mr. Washington, and the other house was owned by, I do not actually know their name at this time. They were purchased a couple times, resold a couple times. I believe there is a company in Florida that owns them now at this time.
They're abandoned, the windows are broken, you know, and you know what's gonna happen there, right?
there is grant money available for
People are gonna move in.
the, HUD money to have those houses removed. Unfortunately, paperwork kind of vanished with our
That might be of
last
interest.
manager. So we gotta, when our new manager starts, we'll put them on that.
And the paper I gave you, there's a
There's
a place where you can go get funding.
What was your address?
The address of the property,
Well, the address of your property, yeah.
the property is vacant, but it's 1194 Robinson Boulevard. I live 40 miles away from here. I wanted to move in here, but I had a soil scientist drill 5 holes on this acre and a quarter,
I see that, yeah.
okay? Can't even put it, and the thing is, why am I not allowed to put a holding tank? If you want to take a septic system, right? They refuse to give me a holding tank.
It's in Washington County.
Under Washington, I believe, Washington County Sewage Authority only allows holding tanks on commercial property. No.
But to change the regulations, it used to be they would only allow you a holding tank if you can guarantee sewage was going to be coming through within 10 years. Then they changed that, but I believe they changed it back, and that's the way it is now.
But that would be through Midway.
I'm wondering if the township,
Sewage handles that right there. Sir, that would be through Midway Sewage.
I was saying, if I go to Washington, you know, to apply for a holding tank permit, can I get backed up by Robinson Township?
And our sewers are run by Midway Sewage Authority.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Midway Sewage Authority is our governing body for sewage in the area, down
Okay.
in that area. This would be a claim that you would bring up to Midway Sewage Authority. They would be the
All
ones that
right.
run that.
Well, I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yes, sir.
that Gannett, you know, the engineer said 1 to 3 years. I was in 905. Okay? But anyway, thanks for listening.
Any other comments? All right, I'm going to make a motion to close this meeting.
Second that?
I guess we-
Adjourn.